Well, hey there, ladies and gents. Shaved a little bit since the last time you saw me. Not that the video quality's all that good here, but I want to do a quick video on my thoughts on a Christmas classic. Started off my horror Christmas viewing for this year in December, and I wanted to go ahead and get started with Silent Night, Deadly Night. No, not Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1. Not the good one. Or the semi-good one. I wanted to watch Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 because Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 is crazy. It's weird. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. It's a movie that everybody should see once in their life. It's something that felt almost like a rite of passage after I'd seen it, because I was sort of inducted into, this type of community of people who really did love bad movies. And obviously, you guys have probably been watching the channel for a while. I like movies that are good. I like movies that are bad. I just love film. This felt like a rite of passage because I was able to see what a truly, truly horrible movie really is. Let me go along with the story of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. The character from the first film, Billy, he has a brother, and, that's revealed in the original. But in this one, that brother is actually the lead. We've got this brother whose name is Ricky, as I said before, and he's in a mental institution because he's killed a lot of people just like Billy did. And he's going to tell his story. Most of that story consists of flashback clips from the original movie. So, for the most part, a large portion of this movie is just flashbacks and cut-ins of the original movie. There's not much of an original movie here, or not an original movie, but there's not much more here than the original movie, besides these little vignettes with I said Randy. I was watching A Christmas Story earlier today, so I'm getting mixed up, but Ricky. So Ricky is walking around, shooting people, stabbing people, with umbrellas. He's shocking a guy with a car battery, strangling people to death with car antennas, yelling garbage day and shooting some guy who just happened to be taking out his garbage. And after that, he gets sent to prison. Well, not prison, but a mental institution, which is sort of where we are taking place. And eventually, he escapes. And that's all I'm going to say. There's not much more to the movie than that. There's not much of a plot. It's very directionless. It doesn't seem to make much sense at all in my explanation or anybody's explanation of this movie. But it's glorious because you get all the good parts from the original Silent Night, Deadly Night, plus new stuff from this movie, all these little vignettes. And the thing that makes it a bad movie is pretty much everything across the board. The music at first glance or first listen seems just like a pretty normal horror movie score from the 1980s. I think this was put out in 87. Seems pretty normal at first glance. And then, all of a sudden, you start to realize that this music does not match up with the scenes in the movie. Like, it just doesn't work for some reason. There's something strange about it, something off. But it's also not entirely off-putting. It's just weird. Then, of course, you have, something as small as editing. And the editing is awful. There will be these jump cuts that, standing right here and then right here. For no good reason at all. really bad editing. The writing is horrendous. Everything seems to be said. Every piece of dialogue just seems entirely ham-fisted in there. Like, there's no flow whatsoever. And the actors, my gosh. Okay, let me get back to the actors later. The cinematography is just so minimalist and so dumb that it's just hard to really look at. It's actually a hard movie to watch because it looks so bad. But everything else on screen is just so crazy you can't help but watch. The scenes themselves, I guess I'll get to some individual scenes later, but oh man, so bad. The acting, however, I think is the real draw for this movie, because it's not that everybody in the movie is 100% bad. You know what? Never mind. Yeah, actually it is. But the real draw to this movie is the star, whose name is Eric Freeman. And Eric Freeman, he's worked on a few movies, and this is the only movie in which he has ever been the star, rightfully so. But this movie, he certainly deserved that spot, because his acting is phenomenally bad. Like, if you were to study all bad performances, this may be possibly one of the worst across the board that you'd ever see. You see this guy, and he's accentuating every syllable he says with an eyebrow movement. So he would say a line near the end, perhaps, that's something like, no more punishment. A normal actor might say, no more punishment. No, Eric Freeman goes, no more punishment. Or naughty. Or he goes something like, I'm sorry, Henry. You know, all this really awful acting, but just accentuated by his eyebrows. Every syllable accentuated with eyebrows. It's beautiful and horrible all at the same time. To break it down into like individual scenes of just greatness, you have, of course, the famous Garbage Day sequence in which Ricky gets a gun from the worst cop on the planet. He's pointing the gun at him, comes near him, lifts it up next to his face, next to this dude's face, next to Ricky's face, and Ricky's actually reaching up. All the cop had to do was look down or fire one shot, and he's holding it so loosely, and his hand just seems so limp. Ricky basically just pushes the guy's hand a little bit, then he fires it into his own head. Guy basically commits suicide. And then Ricky picks it up and starts intermittently laughing maniacally and looking around like, ugh. So it'll be exactly like this. Punish. Guy comes out onto a front porch. Hey, what's going on here? Blam! Mother effer. Punish. And just walking around doing this. And at one point, he comes to a guy who's just, I don't know, this poor guy just probably came in from work that day. He's tired. He just wants to take off his shoes, get into bed, maybe take a quick nap, watch some TV, do something like that. But his wife is like, no. You need to take out the garbage, hon, and then I'll fix you some dinner, and you can go sit down on the couch or take a nap or whatever you want to do. I know you had a hard day, but come on, you got to take out this garbage. It's getting piled up like crazy because apparently we have like 5 garbage cans inside, because he's carrying multiple garbage cans around. And he goes outside, and he's all like, oh, gosh, I have to take out garbage. He sets garbage down, then gets more garbage, sets it down, picks some garbage up, looks over at Ricky, and Ricky says, without any cause, without any pause whatsoever either, he says, "Garbage day!" and shoots the guy in the chest. The guy, in slow motion, falls back. And in his mind, of course, possibly, he is cursing his wife for, like, I just want to take a nap. My day is shot now. But poor guy, shot down. Garbage day. Bang. You know, poor dude. And then there's also, let's see, right after that, he's walking around. Maybe he shoots another guy at one point. Oh, he comes across a young girl. This young girl's just riding around on her tricycle and runs over his feet and says, "Sorry, mister," or "Excuse me, mister," something like that. And he just goes, "That's okay." And then she walks around, laughs maniacally, or smiles or something like that, like a frickin' pedophile. And then sees like this car coming towards him, just barreling towards him for no reason. Shoots the car. Bang! Explosion. Like flipping around. It's insane. It's like this big action sequence or something. All they did was shoot at the car like 2 or 3 times. And of course he's laughing maniacally. Then he tries to shoot himself. Doesn't work. But I basically just explained an entire sequence to you. But this is really one of the most fantastic sequences you're ever going to see in your life, because it's so poorly done that it's brilliant. There's sequences in here where, like, he's in the movie theater, and like his girlfriend is pretty bad too, and she's just like trying to spurn off this guy who's like trying to get with her and stuff like that, and it's just so awkward. At one point, there's this guy who's in the movie theater that's just like making fun of the movie, like speaking loud. The guys that we movie lovers hate the most. Well, maybe not hate, but we really dislike these people. The people who are loud in movie theaters. They're horrible. And he gives us a little bit of a reprieve. All of a sudden, we see behind us, he comes over, and then just like he's struggling with the guy on the ground. He can also apparently teleport, because there's a guy, and teleport people, because there's a guy sitting next to this movie interrupter guy who just sort of disappears out of nowhere, and he's sitting there in the chair instead, attacks the guy. We don't see anything. It's more of the more non-graphic kills. And, you know, I guess he gives us a little bit of, like, happiness there, because we get to see one of the guys that we really dislike the most totally taken out. And then, also, there's not just that. There's also this sequence where, let's see. What was it? He sees some guy, like, out back of a restaurant that he works at, that he is like, I don't know, he's shaking down some dude and he beat some dude up. He looks like he's a guy from the mafia. And for no reason at all, I'm saying that a lot, but this movie really has no reasoning whatsoever. Ricky goes up to him, lifts him up, slams him against the wall, and reaches and just is looking at him like, like some kind of stupid version of the Michael Myers head tilt, and for some reason looks down at the guy's crotch as well, and he's like, you know, just crazy. And he looks to like his left, and for some reason there's like a stand of umbrellas there, picks up one of these umbrellas and stabs the guy with it, stabs the guy through with this umbrella, and the umbrella opens afterwards, and the guy, he throws the guy down, and then of course going from like this really smiley face to just like, and walks back inside like nothing's happened. Which might be something that would be scary if he were a scary character. If there was actually some type of good development to his character or something. I don't know, but it just doesn't work. And they like start to like slightly zoom in on this on this guy with an umbrella sticking out of his back. To be fair, some of the practical effects like that are kind of good, and then there are others that are just horrible. Like there's a guy that he electrocutes with a car battery, and the head is just so obviously fake that it's just sad. Um, oh man, there's so many fantastically bad effects, sequences in here. It's beautiful, and I think every horror fan should see this at some point in their life. There's gratuitous nudity, gratuitous violence, swearing where it doesn't seem to fit. And when I say gratuitous nudity and violence, yet again, like the swearing, it just sort of seems like it doesn't fit in there, but they put it in there anyway. Obviously, I've talked to you guys about this before, or I think I have. Um, I'm not a big fan of gratuitous nudity in movies. I really don't like it. It's something that I really struggle with as far as, being a horror fan. I try to keep away from movies with gratuitous nudity. But the nudity in here is almost off-putting in a way. So I don't know, it just doesn't seem like even a factor, hardly to me. It's just so off-putting. I don't know. I can't really say much more about it. It's just a crazy, weird movie that I think everybody should see once in their lives, especially if you're a horror fan or a fan of bad movies. Hopefully, I'll be showing this to somebody, maybe this Sunday, and maybe we can get maybe a commentary of this up at some point. But and that would be probably a dream project for me because I like this movie so much. It's so weird, so stupid. But I give this 5 out of 5 stars for an entertainment value. It's just so crazy. For an actual film value, I'd probably give this like 0.5 stars. I've got to give it something for the fact that it does have some inventive kills in it. And, they tried to add in some extra stuff that was interesting. Failed completely, but it does actually have legitimately interesting kills and some really good special effects, others of which are just awful. But everything across the board in here pretty much is bad. Bad acting, bad writing, bad directing. Like, this is only a movie that could be made in the 80s, which was the era of cocaine. Um, it's that bad and yet that good. By the way, I wish somebody would come out with a really good Blu-ray of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. That would be fantastic. Just tons of special features. I would watch a feature commentary with just Eric Freeman talking about his performance in the movie. I would also watch it if it was a picture-in-picture commentary to see if he moves his eyebrows as much as he does in the movie in real life. It would be fantastic. But Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, very entertaining. I think everybody should see it. And this this video has gone way, way too long. I don't even care. So, rock on. If you'd like to subscribe, I'll talk to you later. I hope you enjoyed this. Yeah, bye.